Ah, greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Across the Table, where the drinks are cold, the mics are hot, and the conversations are fire. Sitting across the table from me, comedian, actor, and Facebook antagonist, the homie, Kool Keith. How you
What's up?
doing, man?
Good, fam. How you feel?
Man, I'm maintaining, man. It's good to have you on.
Thanks for having
I
me,
always
bro.
do one of these.
Toast
Toast
up.
up. Here's to you.
Toast up. Yeah, you supposed to sip after them.
Now, I start every show like this. How are you? Like, not Kool Keith the comedian, not Kool Keith the community person, not Kool Keith the Facebook antagonist. How's Kool Keith as a man? Like, how are you? You understand what I'm saying?
It's a good question, bro. You starting out like with the heat right out the gate.
It's something that we normally don't ask each other.
Right,
You understand what
right.
I'm saying? Because it's like, oh, we get the normal, oh, I'm cool, I'm straight,
Right.
I'm maintaining. But like seriously, like how are you?
Let's see, man. I'm in good spirits, you know. I'm still breathing, so that's a plus. I'm steady evolving as a man. I'm content where I'm at in life. Well, I shouldn't say content, because that sounds kind of complacent. I'm good where I'm at in life. Like I'm not. I don't regret who I was. I'm cool with who I am. I look forward to who I'll evolve to. Um, I'm in a good space. No complaints. I'm blessed. Things could be better, but they could be worse. So I just keep that in mind. So overall, man, I'm in a good space, man. Positive. Back in the gym a little bit. So
That's what's
I ain't got
up.
no. I'm reducing my stress levels. Making good of my time, being productive, doing things that, further my progression and that, adhere to my purpose in life.
That's what's up, man. That's good to hear. Because like I said, we really don't have that kind of conversation.
Right.
Like we really don't dig deep into how we're doing as people. It's more surface level. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I start out all of my episodes like that.
Right.
Um, so you're a comedian.
Yeah, I've been doing stand up since officially 2009.
Really?
Yeah.
What made you get into it to begin with?
Well, I mean, I was always like a silly guy with a, sense of humor, class clown, all that type of stuff. So, and what's crazy, when I was younger, like elementary, middle school, people would always say, man, you need to be a comedian, this, that, and the third. And my dad even reminded me one time, he was like, I think I might have been 9 or 10. He was like, you remember when I asked you what you wanted to be in life? And I told him at that age, I said, I want to own a comedy club. I want to be a comedian and own a comedy club. And it's funny how I evolved into that without even really having that as my goal. That's just something I said. And I've been rocking out on stage since 2009. Yeah.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. You've also dabbled into a little bit of acting. Like we've done a couple of short films. We've done a
Yeah.
couple of web series,
Yeah.
Cracks in Our Foundation stage play.
Yeah.
How'd you manage to move your way from being a comedian to actually doing those types of roles? Because the roles that you did were kind of serious and they really wasn't funny at times, but you made them
They
funny.
really wasn't funny. Like, first of all, I want to give a you already know. You already know. Let's just get this out the way right quick. I've been in, 3 plays, a couple of web series. Now, the web series roles was cool. The plays, for some reason, I think one role I was like a cheater. Another role I was like a pervert slash child molester. Another role I was like, I've been in some toxic play roles. Cool movie roles, toxic play roles. How I got into that was that was never like a path I chose for myself. It just kind of fell in my lap. So shout out to LaPel and Sharice Crawford, because they're the ones that kind of extended the offer for me to be in one of their web series. So shout out to them.
Word to Primate Vision.
Straight up. And shout out to Raquel. She actually was the first one to like extend the opportunity, like, and ask me, did I want to do this or that? And I was just like, yeah, I'll go for it. And that was my first play. And then I did 2 after that. So shout out to Raquel, shout out to Lapel and Sharice.
That's what's up. Now you also have a couple of things going on in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have your community bike ride night.
Right.
What sparked that? What made you want to get that started?
Well, riding bikes was something me and my daughter was already, well, I was already doing that for years, just as a, exercise, relaxation. And me and my daughter started doing it at a young age. And it was just something cool for us to do as dad and daughter. And I think we was literally on a ride one time and just both was like, it'll be kind of cool to include the community in this, like just have some group bike rides. And also, I was a little bit influenced by Detroit Slow Roll, which debuted, I think, maybe 2014 or somewhere around there. But theirs was on a way larger scale with like thousands of people every Monday night. And that was a influence. What I was doing with my daughter was an influence. And the third influence I was part of a Toledo run group. We used to run every Sunday. And shout out to Miss Coleman. That's another local who started that run group. And I think on one run, I just mentioned, like, it'd be cool if we start doing this with bikes. And she was like, hook it up. And next thing you know, a year later, it emerged.
I remember riding through downtown on a random night on the weekend and seeing
On the bike?
Yeah.
For real?
Well, I wasn't on the bike.
Oh,
I saw y'all on the bike. It was like a trail of people a block long, and y'all were just kicking it, and it just looked like it was so much fun. It looked like
And it is.
It looked like you just brought a bunch of people together to ride bikes and commune.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? I always thought that was dope.
Another influence, I should say, and this is important too. It really sparked from everything I mentioned, but plus it was another way to get my people, black folks, in tune with fitness. Cause when you think fitness or getting in shape, immediately you think, oh, I gotta get a gym membership, oh, I gotta get a trainer, oh, now I gotta buy this or buy that. And you start like putting mental blocks to your fitness goals without even realizing it. It could be as simple as just getting on a bike and riding your bike. So that was the motivation to get our people back thinking health first and fitness and, doing it in a cool, relaxed way.
So it was one of those quit thinking too much and just get out here and do something simple.
Get out here and do it. Jump on a bike, roll around, see the city. I found out about a lot of like coming soons and grand openings in the city just by riding my bike, seeing stuff being constructed and, up and coming, whatever. So it's just a good look overall, basically.
You also do frugal finds.
Mm-hmm.
What started that? Because you found a lot of things that
coming up,
bruh, and it's like you found a lot of things that a lot of people will think that they have to go to an expensive spot and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for. Like I remember looking on one of your Facebook posts and you found like a whole winery glassware set, and it really wasn't that expensive as going down to, let's say, Libby Glass or one of the actual places to go get that. Like what made you want to start that?
Again, it was just something I was doing. It's fun to me. Like I hit thrift stores, garage sales, yard sales.
It's like a big scavenger hunt with you.
Yeah, it's cool to, let me see what I can find here, and then you'll be so surprised what you'll find, the story behind it, the price for it. Like a couple of my best finds, I think I found if you're familiar with what a duffel coat is, it's a style of coat, originates from England. And it's a certain brand name that specializes in those called Gloverall. And those run probably like $400 to $600 online. I found one for $1, bruh. Then I found another one, another duffel coat, a Burberry one, official. I ain't talking about the Burberry you got at the gas station. I'm talking about Burberry of London. I
Like
go
with
on
the official licenses and
official
all of that.
Burberry. I go online on Burberry.com just to check. It's for like $1,200 on there, $1, bruh. And I'm talking like pristine condition. It might have had a little, a little minor mark here or there. Pristine condition. So like I be finding all type of stuff. And the more you do it, the more familiar you get with what to look for, where to look for it at, what brand names is worth this and that. So it's just fun to me. Matter of fact, when I leave here, I'm probably hitting an estate sale, dog. Like real talk.
I might have to join you.
For real, bro.
Yeah, I might have to join you because I'm looking to change some things around, and like I said, man, you find some jewels.
For real, man. If you looking, plus I like fly stuff, and I ain't always got fly stuff type pockets, So you gotta get it how you get it,
True that. Let's shift gears for a minute because the reason why I invited you over here is because you're a father.
Definitely.
I started this platform because I want to be a husband, and I also want to be a father within the covenant of marriage.
Smart move, bro.
And you're a girl dad.
Yeah.
What's it like being a father, and what does facilitating the role of father look like?
First of all, being a father, I would say, is a blessing. Just to create life, be responsible and protective of another life that you are literally obligated to. It's not just a random life. It's like a second coming of yourself, so to speak. So I enjoy it thoroughly, being a dad in general, and a girl dad specifically.
Now, given that we live in the social media age,
Mm-hmm.
and you see how mainstream media and social media, you see how they portray certain things.
Right.
How do you teach her about the difference between what she sees on her cell phone all the time and what's real life?
Well, one, I gotta be the example for a lot of things. She gotta see a real life example right in front of her, which is me. Secondly, sometimes you gotta just put the phone down. You gotta understand that the phone it's reality, but it's a somewhat tainted reality in a sense because it's cyber world. So sometimes you gotta just put the phone down. Pick up a book. Let's go outside and do some activity, like riding bikes, for instance. Sometimes you have to like intentionally let them know that the world you see on the phone and the world that you see when you walk out the door is two different worlds, and you got to experience it as such. So sometimes you got to know as a parent to lessen the phone coverage, and some things you have to explain. And unfortunately, with the internet era, it's a lot of pros and cons to it, but one of the cons is like it removed the gatekeeper position from the parent. Like, when we was little, if somebody called your house to speak to you, who answered the phone? Your parent answered the phone. So they had to go through your parent to get to you. If somebody came to the house to see if you can come out to play or whatever, your parent answered the door. So your parents had the opportunity to see who you mingling with. And, parents had that intuition. They knew certain stuff just off a quick interaction.
Yeah, they can pretty much say, hey, you don't need to hang with them.
Yeah. And the internet removed that gatekeeper position from the parent. Now our kids can be bombarded with whatever from whomever at whatever time. And no matter how good of a parent you are, it's some stuff you just can't shield them from. So then in turn, another kind, sometimes you having conversations with kids about things that's way too early for their age frame, But it got to be explained, else they'll be kind of lost in the sauce. So that's one of the downsides about it.
So, from what I'm gathering, it's not necessarily about how you feel about what's going on the media. Is more about explaining the interpretation of it and letting them gather their own understanding as to what it is and what it isn't. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's it. And sometimes it's real cut and dry as explaining the truth from the lies, the real from the fake, you know.
Now, I wanted to dive into this too because a portion of this channel is to give men a chance to talk.
Right.
And with marriage, there's also the conversation of divorce.
Right.
We spoke before we hopped on here, and you said that uh, you got divorced, but you still have a hands-on with your daughter. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
How do you make that dynamic work? Like, do you have custody? Does she have custody? Or do you just share it and then build your relationship with your daughter from there?
Well, we share it, and well, how you make it work is you have to even though you're divorced, the parents are divorced, the relationship between the parents is over, you still have somewhat of a relationship regardless, because you got a child to raise. So, you know, even if you don't get along, even if you're not the best of friends, you have to maintain at least a level of respect to get the job done that you got to get done. And we do that. You know, we pretty good at that. We could be better at that, but my situation is not nowhere near as toxic as some of the situations I've heard about. So, you know, I don't go through a lot of problems that I hear a lot of bros going through when it comes to baby mamas and things of that nature. And I don't even classify her as baby mama. We co-parents. So when you approach it like that, automatically you're going to have a somewhat different reality of it.
So there's a respect level that you maintain with your ex-wife simply because you have another person in there that you both have to maintain and worry about.
Yeah, you got to have at least some level of respect to even do the job you got to do. Now, it's times where, you know, we have our moments, because I'm going to be honest, we not the best of friends. We definitely not enemies, though. But our relationship it can always be better for the sake of our daughter. So we do the best we can given the situation. And sometimes it's hard and difficult because you can always see a child is going to know when a relationship really isn't where it need to be. And there, you know, my daughter 13, so she not like a toddler or nothing. So she know her parents is divorced. She know her dad and mom live in separate houses. She knows that she has certain days and times where she with her dad, certain days and times she with her mom. She know that it might be different rules at my house than it is at her house. But we try to, that's where as adults, you got to be an adult and realize that it ain't about you, it ain't about him or her, it's about the kid. So sometimes you got to, you know, for a man, tame your ego, tame your pride sometime, and just do what you got to do for the sake of your child.
I'm glad you said that because the ego is a big thing. How did you tame your ego? Like how did you do that?
You mean post divorce or just in general?
In general, but you can go post divorce too.
I mean, you got to just remember it's for the sake of the child, you know? Like it's all about the child. So it ain't about me, it ain't about her, it's about the child. So sometimes you got to just know when to check yourself as a man, you know, and you got to know, as they say, pick your battles. Everything ain't something that need to be a conversation or slash argument. Even if it's some things that's legitimately need to be discussed, sometimes you got to know when to just, okay, I'll just let that slide. And, you know, you have your points where it's too much is too much, but you can't approach everything. What I learned in marriage and what I'm still learning now and applying now, one thing, everything ain't to be understood. Everything isn't to be what's the word I'm looking for? You don't always need closure on everything. Some things is just it is what it is. Learn from your choices and the mistakes you made in that situation and just move on. Everything ain't gonna be a closure moment because it take two people to come to that point. So everything ain't gonna be a closure moment. Everything ain't gonna be a, oh, now I understand as a unit moment. You know, sometimes you gotta just close it out yourself and keep it moving, you know.
How do you balance work life, community life, and being a father?
Man, that's a good question. Well, what I try to do as a father, first and foremost, because I'm actually a father before any of them other titles, I like to or try to like incorporate my daughter or parenting in a lot of the things I do. Like how you mentioned the community bike rides. That all started from something me and my daughter was doing. So it's easy to incorporate her and my time with her in that. As far as the comedy, for an example, she's been to quite a few of my shows because I do clean comedy, I do all types of comedy. So of course, there's some shows she just can't come to, but it's been quite a few of my clean shows she's come to. Um, what else? I just try to incorporate her in a lot of things I do, even on my social time, you know, because I'm one of them parents, like, I'm not really a drop off parent. Like, I got like one drop off option. And if that's not available, then I just can't do whatever I got to do. You know how some people is, oh, if I can't drop them off here, I'm going to drop them off here. I'm going to drop them. No, I got one option, which is my mom, her grandma. If she's not available to watch her, if I need her to watch her, I just can't do what it is I got to do. And that just comes from putting parenting at the higher hierarchy than all that other stuff.
A friend of mine once said that if you have a child and you're living the same life that you were living before you had that child, then you might not be the best parent.
That's a good way to put it too.
Does being a I'm trying to find a way to ask this. Well, I guess being a parent actually matures you in some sort of way because you recognize you recognize that it's not about you. Right. It's about you taking care of your child, and that's dope. And that's really why I wanted to have you on, because you're a Black father and y'all really don't talk that much. It's like right. It's like the dads really are being told to shut up, and the moms are having the spotlight shown upon them. It's really one of the reasons why I started this platform. Not only do I want to know what it's like to be a dad or to be a father, I want fathers to talk. Right. Because there's a certain level of responsibility that fathers have that nobody talks about, whether you with the mom or not. That's still your daughter. And it sounds to me like you fight tooth and nail to make sure that A, you're there, and B, you're the best example that you can give to your daughter on what a man is supposed to be, so that way she can pick right.
Definitely.
Am I?
Definitely. And honestly, I wouldn't say I fight tooth or nail, only because I don't have to. I remember a meme I saw. It said, you know, fathers should fight more for their kids. And then under that, it said, why should he have to fight to begin with? So it goes back to say, you know, how I mentioned how I don't really experience a lot of the stuff that I hear a lot of bros going through. So I don't really have to fight for it per se. But I mean, I get your point, but I just wanted to clarify that too.
Now,
You a good interviewer, bro. Like you be, he be like setting up the questions. Like, yeah, let me.
it's these are things that I've said this on pretty much every interview that I've had. We have to talk. The
Definitely.
men have to talk. There's no other option now. The floodgates are open, and now it's okay for us to talk, which is why I started this platform. Y'all need to talk. We need to know what y'all go through. Not only that, we need to learn what y'all go through so that way either we don't make the same mistakes that y'all made or we can follow your example on how to become better men, better fathers, better husbands. You understand what I'm saying? It's necessary now.
Gotcha.
It's necessary now. I said this when I interviewed Deontay Moss. It's necessary.
The nosy neighbor.
The nosy neighbor. We have to talk as men, but y'all have to talk because you have the experience. You understand what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
There's certain things that y'all go through that if we see it, we can either A, avoid it, or B, navigate it if we have to go through it. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to have you on, and that's why I'm talking to black husbands and black fathers and black men who are in the community doing something and not just out here, just being out here.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Now let me ask you this question.
What's up?
Would you ever get married again? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
That's a good question. Honestly, no. I probably wouldn't get married again.
Damn.
Nah. I mean, for a few reasons. I mean, one, I'm 46. I got a daughter that's 13. So that's a crucial age in a child's life, particularly a daughter's life. So to be just frankly honest, I don't really have time to put a woman higher than everything else I got going on right now. Because at any relationship, especially at this age and stage, that's what you would have to do. Your woman would have to be at a top tier hierarchy in your life if you're serious about it. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't have time to like put a woman over my daughter. Like I'm trying to raise a daughter. Like my hands is full enough. I've already experienced marriage, so at least I can say that. And I'm not even sure if marriage, honestly, I'm not even sure if marriage is a good business move for a man nowadays.
Elaborate.
I'm just being straight up. And that ain't no slight to the marriage entity itself, because I'm not a marriage hater. You know, some people is marriage haters. I'm not a marriage hater at all, you know. But I'm not sure if it's a good business deal. Like, think about it, man. And anybody in cyber world can answer this question too. Give me like 3 legitimate reasons why a man should get married. Like, what benefits are there to a man that he can't get not being married?
I'm asking y'all. Like, y'all have been
It
through
really
it. This is
ain't
for
none.
research purposes.
I mean, like, think about it. Love, companionship. You can get that without being married. Kids. You can definitely get that without being married. Not that I would want that, but you can get that without being married. And I'm 46, man. Like, I mean, I've done that, so I ain't really trying to like open that chapter again. I'm content raising my daughter, living out my purpose. That's enough right there, you know. Because at this stage, at 46, if you in a relationship, it really ain't no playing games. If you're not in a relationship to be married, like, what are you doing at this stage in life? Like, we not teenagers no more. We not in our 20s. We not even in our 30s. At 46, and I think I posted this earlier, like, it's only 3 relationship statuses at this stage in life. You either married, unmarried, or courting to be engaged. Anything other than that is just like a breed of confusion and gray area.
So, do you think that the whole dating pool in general is just based off of confusion? Or do you think that basically a lot of people don't know what they want and they're trying to seek it out without actually figuring out what it is and failing miserably, and now they're starting to feel like this isn't worth it, so let me go do this.
I think it might be a little of both. I think a lot of people want to be at a certain level of relationship, whether it be marriage or whatever it is that they attain to have. But a lot of people either not really ready for what they say they want or deserve, or not willing to put in the work for it. Like, a lot of women want a certain type of guy, which is typically a real small percentage of the male population. So every woman is seemingly, you know, looking for this type of guy. But does she really qualify for that type of guy? And same with
Uh-oh.
men. You looking for this certain type of woman. And these men and women, these certain types I'm speaking of, they do exist, of course. Do you really qualify for that type of woman? Do you really have the personal attributes that would align with what she's on? You know what I'm saying? Since we speaking on men, most men, you hear a lot of men talking about they want a woman that'll submit and do this or that. Are you the type of dude worth submitting to? You want a woman to follow you, where are you leading her to? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you already have built and established that she can come into and benefit from and enhance so you can benefit from? That's what I mean by, like, a lot of people want things that they may honestly not be ready for or even equipped for, And I think a lot of people just not being honest with themselves. So then they just out here, going through relationship after relationship. Toxicity plus more toxicity is just, it's doing too much. I think everybody need to kind of just fall back, relax, self-heal, and then like restart over or something.
This is why I always say I don't have a dog in any of these fights that are happening on social media, on all of these platforms. This fight between men and women, where men want this and women want this, but men are complaining that women aren't doing this thing. Men are you know what I'm saying? Women are complaining that men aren't doing this. I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't even want to fight it. It's a fight
Right.
that I didn't start. I want nothing to do with it. So I always say, and I never say all women are like this. I never say all men are like
not,
this.
yeah.
I always say it's the women that are being allowed to represent them in the mainstream media, just like with the men. Like, the men that represent us in mainstream media are not like this. They don't sit and have conversations like this. They don't talk about accountability. They don't talk about, if you want this woman to lead, what are you doing to put her in a position where we can, you know what I'm saying, where she can sit down somewhere. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't have those kinds of conversations. And when they come around, I normally just sit back and watch, because I don't have a dog in that fight. I don't want a dog in that fight. I have nothing to do with it. I'm trying to get to the point where I can actually set a woman up to sit down, meaning to set a woman up so that way she can do what she wants to do and not what she has to do, and she can be comfortable doing what she want to do and not doing what she has to do. Does that make any sense?
And I think most men, or most men who are men and worthy of a woman being with, think like that. If you ask most men, if you had the choice between, would you rather your woman work and do her thing, or would you rather have a woman that's a stay-at-home mom and take care of the kids in the house? Most men would probably rather have the mom that takes care of the crib in the house. Not saying she can't still do her thing, whatever that thing is,
But it's not a necessity. She doesn't have to.
yeah. But I mean, I would prefer that, because then you ain't paying for child care per se. Your child is being raised by the mother that birthed them. You can't get no better child care than that. Your home is taken care of. She can still do whatever side hustles, whatever businesses she got going on. you know. But of course, as a man, you got to be in a financial position to be able to do that, you know. And that's what I mean by, like, you got a lot of men who might want that or desire that, but are you in the position to create that, you know? And I think a lot of women would probably, if they had the choice, they probably would go that route.
I remember watching a show where there was a panel of 6-figure earners. They were all women. And the host asked them, I wish I knew the name of the show. And the host asked them, if the right man were to come along and put you in a position where you didn't have to do this, would you keep doing it? 2/3 of them said they would stop doing everything that they was doing because that man put them in a position where they didn't have to do it. I kind of feel like a lot of the women out here are doing the jobs, the businesses and things like that because they don't trust us to do it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, our image is, we're starting to get better. It's
Meaning
just
black men?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're starting to get better. It's just taking a while, and I don't think the women trust us enough. You understand what I'm saying? On the flip side of that, since they've gone out to get what they needed from a man because they have never seen a man actually do those things, it's difficult for a man to facilitate anything because they already have what they needed from a man. You understand what I'm saying?
Do they really though? Cause think about it. When a lot of women say, you know, when they take on that "I don't need a man" mantra, it's usually the woman who, you know, she got her degrees, she's successful in the education field, successful in the corporate field. She pretty much got her own house, car, and money, as some or many would say. And that's not a knock to them having that.
Most
But
definitely, it's not.
it just tells you that, in a sense, that's the only way they see men. Like, if I can get this, this, and this, what do I need you for? Well, you would need a man for balance, for one. Like, I don't think they see men as being able to provide more than the physical, tangible aspects of what men provide. So, you know, it's certain things men provide that are not tangible. And balance is like the main one of them.
What do you think we as men need to either A, start doing, or B, continue to keep doing to restore that balance?
Man. First and foremost, if you create a child, you need to be a hands-on, active father to that child. Cause I think that's where it all starts at. So if women see you in that role, then that changes the dynamic of how they view men. Because a lot of our image is tainted. One, because it's set up to be. Let's just get that out the air. The dysfunction black men and women have, it's set up to be that way. That's not a happenstance. That's not a coincidence. It's set up to be that way. So it takes both of us realizing that it's a setup to maneuver through that. But as men, as you pointed out, we just got to be better men, and it starts with raising the kids that we raise. So if you a man who create a kid, don't take care of the kid, how can a woman look at you as a man, quote unquote? How can she really respect you as a man in that sense? And if we want to change the dynamic of how we're viewed and how women view us, it really starts with our daughters. Because as adults, you know, whatever women own now, that's pretty much what they own. You're not really going to change a woman's thought process for the most part. It might be some, but as adults in general, whatever we own, that's pretty much where we own. So if you want to change the dynamic of things, change the image of things, it starts with the kids. So you got to start with your own daughter. You know what I'm saying? She can see you in a different light than maybe her mom seen other men when she was growing up, or it start with our kids, bro.
So it starts at home.
Definitely, everything started home. Everything.
I'm gonna hit you with this last question. I gotta have you back because we have way more.
Sure.
We got way more to discuss. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna save the last question. Your Facebook statuses be off the off.
Why
You
everybody
be
be
wildin'.
saying that though, dog?
It's.
I see people in public, like the first thing they'll mention is something on Facebook. Like, I logged off, dog. Like, why are we talking?
It's mainly because you're fair. Like, you're fair when it comes to the dysfunction of the men, and you're fair when it comes to the dysfunction of women. But the dysfunction of women is where they kind of focus everything.
That's where the flack come in. That's where
Right.
that heat come in at. That's always been like that though. Like the black community is cool with talking about the problems of the black community as long as we're focusing on where the men drop the ball at. The accountability in our community has never been 360. Kevin Samuels proved that, but prior to him, Shahrazad Ali was Kevin Samuels like 30 years ago. I mean, and what she's saying still, she never wavered from her stance. And some of it is just true, flat out. Like, it's plenty of stuff men do that's worthy of being pointed out, talked about, even clowned for that matter. No question about it. And a lot of times men, think about it, men been hearing about we ain't shit, we dogs, we this, we that. We've been hearing that for pretty much my whole lifetime. Some of which is true. I'm not saying that it ain't true. Some of that shit is true. But when have we ever had that same conversation with that same type of heat and smoke, as they say, on the other side of the coin? Like, we didn't get to this point by ourselves, and we not going to venture from this point by ourselves. But the minute you point out anything women doing, well, men do this or that, like, come on, man. I always say women hate sitting in the hot seat unless they sitting on a nigga lap. Straight up. Flat out, bruh.
That's
real, bro.
I've never heard that. Wow.
And so women not really, that's one pro about social media. It gave men a platform. So you hearing a lot of men speak publicly that otherwise were shunned or just never heard. So in a woman's mind, it may seem like an onslaught or, being bombarded. It's just a lot of stuff men been saying that's just never been heard. So now you got a platform to say it, and they saying it. But you got to remember, some of it is true. We're not saying all of it is true. Some of it is true. We don't blame women for everything. We just blame them for stuff that's in their control. And we just got to keep it real.
And on that note,
I'm just being honest, man. And like you said, I'm pretty fair with it. Like, I don't just go hard at women. I don't just go hard at men. I don't think I go hard at anybody. I just be speaking truths with no filter. I don't be worrying about sugarcoating stuff, and it is what it is,
and like I said, when you're fair, you've never been like it's all the men's fault. You've never been like it's all the women's fault. Down the middle, you've been like, all right, this is the problem here. This is the problem with us. Let's fix this. However, this is the problem with y'all. We're fixing this. What are y'all doing to fix this?
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's all it is, bro. Case in point, how long have we heard about deadbeat daddies and just no good bros, no good fathers?
About as long as we've been alive.
Do they exist?
Absolutely.
Think about how many quote unquote bad fathers, no good fathers, do you know that have multiple kids by multiple women? And to be honest, them type of fathers be having the most kids. So it ain't like we not saying that he ain't a terrible dude who wasn't father material to begin with. At what point do you stop creating kids with him though? Like that's the conversation we don't have. This terrible dude got 8 kids by 8 different women. At what point did woman number 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 figure it out? Like, you know this guy. Like, he's not a stranger. You know he don't take care of his other 6 kids. You still became number 7. So at some point we got to discuss the choices ladies make. Because if you really want to be honest, no man has sex until a woman allows him to. Otherwise, it's, you know, and we ain't even, that's not even a scenario we discussing.
It's like a percent of a percent of a percent.
No man has sex with a woman until she allows him to, period, point blank. So you got to think, what type of men are you allowing? True, it's some bums that exist. Again, we're not negating that. But it's some good bros that exist too. Why not allow the good men? Why not allow the dudes you married to?
I think I know what it is.
What?
It's because we boring.
Who?
We the good men.
The good men.
We are boring.
With the air quotes.
Yeah, we are boring. We at the crib. We either at the crib, at work, at the gym, or doing something to fulfill our purpose.
And that's even crazy that would be classified as boring. The dude who's focused on his priorities or his purpose in life, who's not teetering with a life of crime, whose foot is not in and out of a jail cell, he's a cornball. He's boring. Like, how do we get to that point, bruh? That's crazy in itself, though. Like, these type of, the dudes you think women would want or other boys would want to aspire to be are considered, he's a goofball. He's a lame. He's, you know, we done heard all type of acronyms and synonyms to go with doofus. But meanwhile, Poo Poo, Ray and over here who just caught a double homicide, that's the guy. You know, the dude selling dope, sitting on 26s. At 36, that's the guy. How do we get to that point, man?
It seems as though we've made a lot of progression, but we still got a long way to go.
As men or just black community, period?
And I said this before. I said this when I was on the Bippy and Bullshit podcast. I don't think we have a black community anymore. I just think we have a bunch of black people that live next door to each other.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like, because
if you truly know what community means, yeah, we do not have that.
Right, because when I was coming up, a community meant if anybody in the hood saw you wilding out, they snatched you up. Mm-hmm. Then they walked you home, told your parents why they snatched you up, and then your parents snatched you up too. It's like the village was an actual village. Now it's like you can't tell nobody nothing.
Yeah, man. It's such a layered conversation. I like to think of it as like, picture a line of dominoes. You know how you hit the first domino and all of them fall. And that's pretty much where we are now. So each of them dominoes is a different conversation we need to have. And we just to a point where I don't want to say we too far gone, even though in some aspects we are, but I still try to be optimistic. But it's certain things that have been too far gone, and we lack the army, so to speak, to deal with it. Like, the village is tired, man, at this point. The village is tired, man. Because there's been so much pressure put on the village to carry the load of others. The village is tired, bro. Like, for real.
There has to come a point where, like you said, individual responsibility and individual accountability has to come in play. So
We can't constantly expect and depend on the village to raise our kids. We can help you raise your kids, but we can't raise your kids. The responsibility is on the mother and the father that created them. And then it's like I can't help you do nothing that you ain't already doing. You know what I'm saying? You got to be already doing it for us to help you do it. And a lot of people just not doing it.
Wow.
That's real though, man. And I work in schools, bro, so I see the kids at the kid level. So I'm not just like coming out of thin air with some of the stuff I'm saying. Like I actually see the kids. I work at middle schools primarily. So I'm seeing them at like elementary and middle school. I'm seeing them early.
So like before, like, are you talking K through 8th grade before they hit high school, or are you talking K through 6?
K through 8th, because you know our elementary schools now pretty much the junior high. What used to be junior high, 6th through 8th, is now part of elementary, which is a whole nother. Shouldn't be like that, but so I'm seeing them K through 8. You know.
I gotta have you back.
For sure, man. I love to come back, bro.
I gotta have you back because
good combo, man.
That's why we here. Like I said, we as men, we have to talk. We got to talk, and we have to have a voice, and our voice has to be bigger than what people see mainstream media putting out, because you and I both know that ain't us.
Really ain't.
It's really not us. And that's then, like I said in the beginning, that's why I'll never say all this or all that. I'll say the people that we are allowing to represent us in mainstream media are giving us this perception of how we are, but we really not like that. Like, we really not. You understand what I'm saying?
There's so much more to us that's not being shown. And we have more control over that than we think, by just by what we allow, what we co-sign, and what we don't allow, and what we don't co-sign. And a lot of the stuff we allowing and co-signing just don't coincide with our progression, and it's just a bad look.
True that. Last question. Since you are a comedian,
right,
I always ask anybody in any type of entertainment to give me their top 5.
Top 5.
So give me your top 5 comedians that you follow, or give me your top 5 comedians that inspired you to do what you do. And I'll give you 2 honorable mentions.
Top 5 that inspired me. So this wouldn't be top 5 who I think are the best or the greatest. Just top 5 that inspired me or that I like.
You can go top 5 that you think you're the greatest too.
That's too hard to do, but my list probably would entail both of those. Like, of course, Richard Pryor. That's like without question. Only because he was like one of the most fearless black men in my lifetime. Him and Muhammad Ali. And what I mean by that, like, they went up against and said the things that black men weren't supposed to say, weren't supposed to go up against. And he was just funny. Dude was hilarious. And he put so much of his own personal life and experience on display for you to laugh at. That took a level of courage and confidence that's just out the roof. So Richard Pryor, of course, and this ain't in no particular order. Richard Pryor, Dick Gregory, just for his he was like a activist / social leader that just happened to be a comedian too. And the way he approached comedy was just unlike no other. And I got to rock with him like right before he passed, which was one of my greatest honors as a comedian. Dick Gregory, Richard Pryor. I gotta throw Eddie in there, Eddie Murphy, because in comedy he did for comedy sort of like what Mike Jordan did for the NBA, man. Like, he just took it to a whole new level, like literally. And his resume is impeccable. as is Martin Lawrence. Like Martin Lawrence, resume wise, Eddie is here, but Martin is like right underneath. If you talking like stand up, film, TV credits, just overall funny, his influence on comedy culture, putting other comedians on, creating avenues and platforms. You said 5. That's what, 4?
You said Richard Pryor,
Richard
Dick
Pryor.
Gregory, Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence.
I'm gonna throw Bill Cosby on there. Of course,
Ooh.
of course, people, they don't want to associate themselves with Bill Cosby because of his current status and news. But aside from that, we talking comedic. Dude, his resume is impeccable. He had an approach that was like unlike anybody else's. You know, he pretty much was like a clean comic, and just his influence, his ability to create, his resume. Bill Cosby, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Dick Gregory. Who else? I always liked George Carlin. He was like a Dick Gregory type in a sense. He was a social commentary comedian, but just brought the funny out of real life stuff and made you think.
He was like what Bill Maher is now.
Yeah. Somewhat, yeah. Who else?
I need one more honorable mention.
I'm gonna say Robin Harris, because
Bebe's Kids.
Yeah, without many people don't know, he was like, because we always like attribute Def Comedy Jam with so much. If it wasn't for Robin Harris, the thought of Def Comedy Jam would have never even been a thought, because it all started with him. He was originally supposed to host it until he passed, and then Martin got the torch. But it was basically what he was doing at the Comedy Act Theater in LA that really sparked the thought to have Def Comedy Jam. And dude was just raw, off the cuff, hilarious. Like, he was just genuinely funny, like your uncle was somebody you knew who just happened to be hilarious.
Like the drunk cool uncle that just talked about everything.
Dude was just hilarious, dog. And he didn't get his shine because his career was so short. But Robin Harris, I put him up there.
Keith, it's been a pleasure to have you on.
No doubt, bro. Pleasure to have me, man.
You
Pleasure
will
to
be
here.
back, most definitely. This has been your episode of Across the Table, where the drinks are cold, the mics are hot, and the conversations are fire with my man, Kool Keith. Until next time, in a minute.
Deuces. Appreciate you, bro.